Hello, everybody. I'm getting ready to show up tomorrow at my hearing in Marietta, and I have some friends over, and of course the usual suspects are here. Let me put my foot up.
Yeah.
You gotta lift. Okay.
You got it?
Over here. No. Okay. This is my mug. This is my new coffee mug.
Don't make me laugh.
Why? We're allowed to laugh.
After coffee.
Dave, you want to sit up here? Bring your computer up here.
I can sit here. You can sit there and massage.
Hey, we're talking about. Oh, you are? Never mind. You're gonna run me?
Oh.
All right. Oh God, my foot. See how big it is from sitting here for all this time? How long I've been here? Or like 45 minutes. Look at the size of my freaking ankle right now. So today, I don't know what day, but what we were talking about, you were talking about something. We were talking about something that the endocrine system, or you were saying, that I hadn't had a colonoscopy.
The thing is that there's been obviously a lot of hip talk lately because of what you've been through, and rightly so. I mean, you're going through hell. You know, you're constantly in pain. You're constantly under the influence of narcotics, which is not, in my opinion, would make you not able to be testifying on your behalf in court. But all that aside, what I think is the biggest issue here is what's happening with your digestive system. And it could even be your endocrine system. We just don't know, but you've been suffering with this for 15, 20 years.
Longer than when my hip pain started.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a picture of you where your friends were having to hold you up. And
that was in 2007 or 2008.
So was that hip pain more, or was that because you were so weak and so it felt so like you felt like you were dying?
No, I would already felt like I was. You know, it's a weird thing that the combo. Isn't it really odd that my digestive issues have become a secondary issue?
And they're your main problem.
In 2001, right? In 2001, it became a secondary issue.
It could be the reason why your hip rotted away like it did.
Think so?
Well, it could be. I mean, think about. I mean, just
see that kind of thing never occurred to me, and it never occurred to any of the 4 or 5 doctors I had been to since like 2007. When I had gotten my newest insurance policy, like I had new medical insurance. It was like, okay, maybe now I can redress this digestive system. I mean, I was working out all the time, but I could never lose that little bit of weight that would throw me over the edge, and it would be like no matter what I ate, dude. I mean, there was a time when my diet wasn't the best, but I mean, there was a time when like everything I ate went down in a journal. Everything I ate was like measured and everything else. And I got no results. And so when I went to this like second of 4 general practitioners to try to work that out, I mean, this is before my hip pain ever emerged. I'd be like, look, I don't know what the deal is. And this is I'm sure that this medical documentation exists somewhere. But I mean, I had, the level of bedside manner. You know, I don't want to point my finger at doctors and say, oh, it's all you guys. But I mean, there were some guys like this fellow, who was just like, oh, what is wrong with you? Just push yourself away from the table, And I'm just like, dude, I wanted to curse at him. I'm like, how disrespectful. It's like you just think I'm fat because I eat too much. So. And make a long story short, here's what I got for my gastrointestinal issues. Was I got diet pills, prescribed diet pills, whatever you call them. I can't even remember what they were. Man, it's been so long ago. These are the mid '90s, so this is long before I ever emerged as a hip as an osteoarthritis patient. But I was given, appetite suppressants, diet pills. I was referred out to one of those. Remember those weight clinics?
Yeah.
Where they would give you injections
Stuff
of B.
gives people heart attacks and
Oh, really? Is that what those things? Some of those stuff does.
They were giving people drugs,
heavy vitamin B,
that were causing them to have blow heart valves.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
weight loss clinics back in the 90s, and
back in the
back
90s.
in the
We're
day
talking
when-
about in the early 90s to mid
We
90s.
were
So
just-
90s as late as 97.
we're just trying to corral you into another money bin.
Well, I would go in there and pay a payment, and they would give me. You would
Drugs.
go in there twice a week, and they weren't giving me any prescribed drugs. They were giving me injections. You would go in there for injections, and they were intramuscular injections.
And see,
You guys never heard of weight clinics like that?
No,
There
I've
was one
heard
in
of
our
weight.
city.
No, I've heard.
what you needed was a good doctor to find out what's the cause of all this trouble, not experiment with different drug-induced or vitamin-induced ways to lose this weight that they were assuming that you were eating on, when in fact you weren't able to, your body was not metabolizing correctly.
Mm.
It was putting fat on your body instead of digesting that food and using it for energy. And that could be, I mean, I can't even, I'm not a medical doctor, but I can tell you that there are medical doctors out there who can help you with this.
God, that
I mean, it could be,
so much.
it could be a thyroid. People that have underactive thyroids put on a lot more weight than they should. Their bodies retain all this weight. I've heard you mention the possibility of thinking you may have Crohn's disease, or someone thought you might.
That was suggested to me not by only one person. That was also a thought given to me by a doctor. I won't mention which doctor's name, but because it wasn't an official diagnosis. But
Right.
after it turned up several times because of some of my symptoms like extreme irritable bowels. No, I'm not talking about like the feeling of indigestion. I'm talking about deep in here.
Oh yeah.
I'm talking about certain types of reactions to food that I have no allergies to. I'm talking about extreme, what do you call it, fatigue?
Malaise might even be a better word.
I'm not too up on, you know what? I don't know the definition of the word.
Extreme fatigue.
Is that
Very
really?
tired, no energy.
Waking up in the
Can't
morning.
get that spark back.
Waking up in the morning with absolutely no energy. Being able to wake up in the morning, and I'm pretty much a night owl, but even after, let's say, 6 to 8 hours sleep, waking up and knowing that you really don't have the energy to do shit today, even knowing that you have to go to work and you have all these responsibilities, you have a child, and I'm just taking you a day out of my life back then. You have a child, that's maybe, I can remember days like this when my son was like 9 and 10 years old. I have a full day of work scheduled ahead of me, and I've got David and Franco getting ready for work, and we're supposed to be on the job by 10 in the morning, or by 9 in the morning or whatever, and I'm up at 7 and dragging my ass to the point where I just wanted to go back to bed by 10. You know what I mean? It's like I did not have the energy to go. I can remember pulling up at a job site and just dreading to get out of the car. I just did not have the energy. So, I mean, without going into a long story, like you said, just this fatigue, this general fatigue, no matter what kind of food I ate, no matter how much rest I got, I could feel that this fatigue was coming from here. It's like I knew that there was something wrong with me. And I knew it started coming on in like 1988, 1989 is when I knew. You know what I mean? And remember, I had to go through the fire academy. I went through EMT. I went through rope rescue. I went through smoke divers. Went through all of these academies, literally dragging myself. I would have my periods of like ultra invigorated, inspired energy, but it certainly wasn't anything that was health related. It was more or less my mind over matter. So this is, you know, I guess when we're going back to these digestive issues, that's why I always called it the mystery illness. I remember that Zappa, you know, Frank Zappa used to say that the body was such a mysterious organism, and he would call like his sickness mysteries of the organism. And it was such a, you know, to me, I mean, I don't make light of it. You know, I respect anybody's knowledge and intelligence regarding this issue, but it's been a mystery to me. And the 3 or 4 doctors that I saw in the 90s were absolutely no help. As a matter of fact, I can remember in 2001, the very first time I said, and this is very, it's like, to think about it makes me want to cry. The very first time I saw down in black and white, morbid obesity. When my doctor said, you are morbidly obese. And that I hadn't even gotten up to 400 pounds yet, but I was 400 pounds at one point. I was 400, almost 450 at one point. So, you know, right now I'm at 330 pounds. I feel light as a sprig, you know. It's like, and I know that I can lose more weight, especially given this new lease on life as this thing starts to heal a little bit. But, you know, you guys must know how concerned I am after last Saturday when I almost fell. And I was like, I could feel the progress going good. And then when I almost fell, it's like,
start back over.
And then I had to go to that thing Thursday. I had to call myself up to that building. And I just want people to know, man, it's not, I don't disrespect the system, man. I just need a little bit more time to heal. But apparently they don't want to give me that. So I've got to play, you know, by their rules. I certainly don't want to have police show up here to take me to jail. You know?
No,
but other than the couple times today I've walked the 20 feet to the bathroom with my walker and back, you know what I mean? Because I don't always piss in that urinal.
Right.
I get up, especially when there's no one around and I have a clear runway here.
From what I see, you ambulating around here, or what little you can do, I can't in any universe imagine you going all the way to court and then having to be able to be presence of mind to be able to, you know, present yourself and plead your case and be there and be aware enough to be able to communicate with your lawyer. If you, because I mean, he's not going to just do everything for you. You've got to be, you're the final say. And if you're not coherent, if you're not sober, how can you do that with any, I mean.
Well, I think you guys would agree that this is about as lucid as I get right now. I think everybody here has been around when I started dabbling.
Yeah, and it won't be long because
like
you do another dose of your medicine.
Yeah, I'm due.
You
so
really
right
can't
now
be
it's
off
been at
to
least 4.5 hours, and I wanted to do this short video because I feel like, first of all, I don't know why, it just makes me feel better to try to document this and to try to reach other people with it. I mean, you know, I want people to know that this has all been a very sincere journey for me, that I never meant to profit. I never meant to get over on anybody. And then I never meant to harm anyone or take anything from anyone or fucking get over on the system. I mean, I've worked so hard in my life. You know what I mean? I raised my son right. I did it primarily on my own. Nothing against my son's mother. I love you, Anna. You know, but basically she didn't have the presence of mind to be all up in every day of his schooling, every day of his care. You know what I mean? I provided, never was a day when he reached for the light switch to hit it and that those lights weren't on or that water wasn't on. You know what I mean? I kept the bills paid. I kept the utilities on. I raised my boy and I took care of my grandparents, and you guys were around for a lot of that. Marilyn, I've known since 2007 or so, I think, right? 2006. Mm-hmm. And David over there came into our lives, you know, in 2001. So it's like, you know, these people know me well, and you know, my bro, man, and, you know, my relatively new friend, only a little more than a year, right?
Yeah, about a year.
So it's like, you know, these guys were around back in those days when I was basically burning the candle at every
So we met
weekend.
you after the arrest.
Actually, I met you before.
Did I?
Yeah, I met you at Wyatt's shop, shopping for
Oh, that's
stuff,
right.
and I had brought Renard.
That day.
Remember Renard, the really good bass player that was in there?
Yeah.
And I was sitting over.
You were sitting and in so much pain. I remember.
Really?
Oh, you were doubled over, and you didn't look. You looked so sad. And
well, I was sitting over in an area of the shop.
Suffering. You know, it's not right.
I was sitting over in an area of the shop because I couldn't walk. So I everywhere in that shop. That's one of the reasons I used to go there, is because I could walk from the door to in the shop, and there's chairs everywhere. And so Wyatt would like come over and talk to me in between customers, and that's how I met you.
I remember we were thinking about coming to one of those open mics and jamming with you, but we just never had the time. And then the next thing I knew, you know, the next time I saw you was after the fact, and you'd been
your wife
in the trouble, and everything had turned upside down.
Well, I don't blame anybody for any of that. I know that there's definitely some dishonest stuff going on there, but honey, can I move it, please? Can I gotta move it. Okay. But I know that there's some dishonest stuff going on there. And I know that everything isn't as it appears, but hopefully everything will, you know, come out in the wash. In other words, for some reason, these people think that I'm some kind of, you know, trafficker. I don't know why they would think that. Or maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just purely because of the, you know, of the technical aspects. But I guess we're just gonna we're gonna come into that, and we're gonna find that out within the next day. Tomorrow, I'm ordered to appear in the courthouse. I'm ordered to appear in the courthouse tomorrow, and they told me flat out if I didn't appear that they would issue a bench warrant out for my arrest.
It's crazy.
And you know, it's against doctor's orders, it's against the physical therapist orders, but I respect you, Your Honor, and I respect the court system, and I'm not, even though I'm very frustrated right now and I don't agree with it, I respect Georgia, and everybody knows how much I love this state. I mean, I love it here, and I'm going to be there, and whatever's going to happen in my life is going to happen. I'm going to take it like a man. I'm not going to try to blame it on anybody else, but I do wish to God that they would consider all of the information. Right now, I feel like we're being oppressed because I believe the court system is going to try to exclude any information that might be in my favor. Like, in other words, they're going to cherry pick a bit to use my past arrest record, not my convictions. I've never been convicted of a crime, but they're going to use my arrest record against me. However, they'll conveniently leave out the fact that I've saved so many lives, that I've intervened in robberies, that I've intervened in accidents and stuff. The stories are endless about the times that I've risked my life for other human beings, you know, without even thinking about it. And I think that that's not equal. It's not fair. In other words, if all of my medical information isn't pertinent to this case, then why should my arrest record be? In other words, if I was arrested in 1980 along with a bunch of other people in a house because one idiot had cocaine out on his desk, it wasn't even my room, you know, the police were called, and that, you know, the police came in and everything, everybody gets arrested. I was let off on diversion because it had nothing to do with me, but that's going to be used against me. But on the other hand, and you're going to think that that's pertinent to this case when my medical history for the past 20 years is not pertinent, or the fact that, you know, in 1981, I saved 6 people out of a building that was burning that might not have made it out. As a matter of fact, I know they wouldn't have made it out because they didn't know how to get in and out of that building like I did. So I kicked down a door into a burning building and show people how to get out of the building in 1981. that should go on. If my arrest record is pertinent to this case, then my record of good deeds and civic heroism and my citations for civic heroism, and we're not even talking about my firefighting record. We're talking about my record as an American citizen, as a civic member of society. So I think that that's unfair. I mean, anyway, I'm rambling now. I'm ranting, aren't I? So I'll stop ranting. But I think that that stuff's pertinent. And I have nothing but respect for, you know, for Georgia. I love it here. That's why I moved here, because I'm really, compared to all my friends, I'm conservative. They're all telling me how conservative I am. I'm like, I haven't changed. It's the world that's changed. You know, my morals haven't changed. So I guess what I was referring to, or, you know, I know I'm ranting a little bit right now, but the thing is that for anyone to think that I'm like some kind of criminal kingpin or drug dealer, that could not be farther from the truth. You know what I mean? Any person that ever approached me about buying marijuana, buying cannabis, I used to tell them that I'm not in that business. I don't know what you're talking about. Leave me alone. You know what I mean? And they'd be hard pressed to find anyone who could even stand up there and lie to say, hey, this dude was selling dope, or, you know, or something like that, saying that I was in the business profiting. It just didn't happen. I'm telling you right now. I'm looking you right in the eye and I'm telling you it didn't happen. So, you know, I hadn't touched cannabis in 27 years from the time I left California as a kid to the time I became a firefighter and stuff. You know, I was pretty serious, gung-ho kind of guy, man. I didn't have time for no dope.
Right. Where were you a firefighter? Which state?
I was in California. I was a hot shot guy. I used to volunteer. You get paid 24 hours a day to go up and dig fire breaks and stuff. I fueled air tankers at Santa Barbara Airport. That was part of my duties. And then when I joined the fire department, was in Florida, in DeBerry, Florida. I joined as a volunteer in 1987. And I went through school and became a professional firefighter. And although my professional firefighting career was very short, you know, I just had a lot of part-time shifts. I worked at Daytona Speedway for 2 seasons. It's a seasonal job. You're hired as an independent contractor. If you've got all your firefighting credentials and stuff, you can sign up to be considered for the job. And because me and my buddy, Joey Geary, Joe Bob Geary, of course, typical, you know, redneck name for a dude, man. That was like my best friend, Joe Bob. Joe Bob Geary. He knew some people.
First name, Joe Bob Gary.
Yeah, I love
the third.
He was a wherewithal, like a thinking on his feet, brilliant firefighter. My partner, one of my first partners, him and Linda Mickenberg, who I missed to death. She's down in Florida still. She's a police officer with Lake Helen, and she's also an evac officer. Yeah, works for one of the ambulance companies. But yeah, man, me and Joey went and we worked at Daytona Speedways for two seasons, and we were actually one of the preferred teams. Like, they kept us together because we already came together as a package. And when people watched us work together, it was like watching poetry in motion, man. We just knew our jobs, didn't even have to talk. As a matter of fact, the only time I actually was a captain in the fire department was during a strike. There was a strike, and Volusia County firefighters, all the paid guys, all the guys that were by the book guys, they struck. And so they left. All the county fire departments were like bare. There was departments that they would close down the fire station, and these guys were running calls, like having to skip over jurisdictions to run calls and stuff. It was a very scary time. But Joey and I, we didn't care. We crossed the lines to work because it was the job. It wasn't the pay we cared about. You know, and I understand the dudes that went on strike. You know what I mean? I understand about all that stuff. But bottom line is we crossed the lines, and Chief Pasica, Joe Pasica, and oh God, I can't remember all the names. My brain is starting to malfunction from the pain. I really got to take my pain. But then, you know, I'm going to start talking about my old pickup trucks and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I gotta say this though.
That's why
The
you
coolest
shouldn't be
thing.
testifying in court right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's the reason. I mean, you're
Right.
she'll ask me a question and I'll talk for an hour.
well, you just aren't. You're not yourself.
He's
You're,
not.
You're under the influence of narcotics.
Mm-hmm.
You don't put people on the stand
Mm-hmm.
drunk or intoxic. You know,
Right.
prescription medications. It's a scheduled. It's a controlled substance.
Well, you guys know that the reason I left, you know, I was taking these 30 milligram Percocet back in 2009 when I was on pain management. I was taking 30 milligram Percocets all the time. And
Can you
stuff. I
imagine
got
what
sick of it.
that might have done to your?
Sure, it
Mhm.
exacerbated.
inside.
It's, I gotta move it
Yeah,
this
it's
way.
gone.
Freaking
And you see,
Oh,
Get her?
and you see that
yeah,
brings
you rubbing
me.
it makes it tolerating. So if it wasn't for you and Davey, man, I don't know what I would do. If it wasn't for you guys, my friends and everybody, man, I'm telling you, man, I don't know how I would have done this.
See, this all brings me, in my mind, you know, right back
Don't
to
cry.
the
Don't cry.
original, you know, your GI, whatever's going on in
That
there.
gastrointestinal thing. I know,
Is it
you always come back
is it an endocrine problem? Could it be an immune problem?
an autoimmune
Oh,
problem.
yeah. I mean, it could absolutely be, because if you think about it, if your body is not working right, there are a lot of conditions that result in bone problems. You know, everybody's heard the
Hold on
word.
a second, dude. Talk to me again about this.
Okay.
You're saying that there's a possibility that my endocrine problems could have created this osteoarthritic problem.
There's a possibility.
Wow, I never knew that that's even possible.
Let me draw an analogy for you.
Yeah.
We all.
Okay. First of all, I'll just give the people that are ever going to see this. This isn't medical advice. We're just a bunch of friends. This is just a bunch of friends sitting around in a circle talking about issues that are directly relating to us. And we are trying to raise awareness, because I know that there's 1 million people out there that suffered 10 times as much as I have in the past 20 years. I want to reach every single one of you. I'm telling you right now that if I get the chance and I get through this, I'm going to come and make sure that every one of you is not half as lonely as I ever was. Or like when we were talking about today, losing hope. You were a patient. You know what it's like to lose hope. You know what it's like to feel lonely and lose hope.
And all alone, and it's never going to get better.
Oh yeah, there's no hope. It's never going to get better. It's like, is this the way I'm going to die?
And there, like you've said it yourself, and I'll say it again.
It's the worst feeling that you can ever feel.
And there are people out there who are suffering so much worse than that need to be able to do something about it.
Dude, can you imagine the cancer patients, the disease patients, the Crohn's disease patients? See, in 1992 and 93, 94, 96, I didn't know did Crohn's disease even exist then?
Well, it just didn't have a name.
Oh.
You see, this stuff's been around longer than they've had names for it. And the thing is, a lot of times, you know, as soon as they can put a name on something, they can invent a drug to treat it. And it's not necessarily making you any better, but it's making them a lot of money.
But I can't even imagine that would be their prime objective. It's like, there's got to be. I know that
the drug companies.
No, I'm talking about medical professionals. You guys don't get into the business to make money. Some do. I'm sure that there's some do. But I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and say that, you know, 99% of the people that become doctors get into the business because they want to cure people. They want to heal people. The same way that I joined the fire department. You know what I mean? I'll admit it. I hated I never even thought for a minute that I would be forced to be an EMT. When I went through first responder, I was just like, are you kidding me? I got into this business to put water on fire. You know what I mean? let somebody else take care of this guy. I got, you know, give me that axe.
Right.
Where's the problem? Let's go chop down the problem.
Save 20 people's lives right now.
Whatever. I'll drag them out of the burning building. You take care of them. You know what I mean? The idea of being responsible for somebody else's life when I was 25 years old or 30 years old, it just, you know, it was just like, I just wanted to be a superhero. Does that make any sense? You know what I mean? It's just like, so I just wanted to be a superhero in real life is the closest thing I could do to be, you know, the closest I could get to being Spider-Man.
There's a lot worse things you could have aspired to be.
Yeah, because that's why I left California, because all my friends were partying. There was dudes getting into shooting heroin, which I've never done in my life.
Downhill fast.
And, you know, and I left to get away from that life. I just, you know, that's where everybody seemed to be heading. There's no way I was going to become a firefighter there, even though I had a leg up, you know. I was good friends with the mayor of Santa Barbara. You know, Sheila Lodge was a very dear friend of mine. Her husband, Joseph Lodge, Judge Joseph Lodge,
wow, was
a very dear friend of mine who I had to appear in front of. You know what I mean? And he threatened me several times, you know, Mr. NeGorilla, you know, it's beginning to be apparent to me that you might have a disregard for the driving license, for the driving laws of the state of California. And, you know, while the court respects everything you've accomplished here in Santa Barbara and considers you to be an upstanding citizen, you know, don't make me prove that, you know, we're serious about the driving laws, you know. So I was, you know, caught driving on a suspended license more than once, and I regret those things. I mean, but, you know, I never robbed the liquor store. I was the guy that smashed the robber in the head with the bottle. Right. You know what I mean? And
you were young. You were younger then too.
I stopped a liquor store robbery.
You know,
I stopped a liquor store robbery once. I stopped an assault on the beach once. You know what I mean? I've done. These are all well documented things. So, you know, no one can ever point their finger at me and say that I was some kind of a terrible person. I mean, maybe, you know, not certainly far from a shining example of, you know, moral perfection, but
no, that's almost everybody.
This thing breaks my heart, man. This whole thing with the cannabis breaks my heart, because the only reason I did what I did, the only reason I used cannabis was to mitigate my medical situation. It was a last resort. I gave up pain management because you know, watching my friend die with a bullet to the brain, watching my friends dying
of suffering and
from
feeling hopeless
from these.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's all that they have for you.
Well,
and that's not the answer.
I gotta say right now, if it wasn't for these, I don't think that this surgery, I don't think cannabis would have been the only answer for me for this surgery.
No, you got exactly what you need for this situation.
Right. And that's what that's my whole point.
Speaking of, I want to ask you a question. I am very curious.
Hold on, I got one thing to say here.
Okay.
I have never ever thought that cannabis, or any other substance for that matter, is the answer to everything. You understand what I'm saying? There's no such thing as one size fits all for medical issues.
As your digestive issues and your gut problems and your everything you talk about, has that gotten worse now that you don't have your medical cannabis?
It's 10 times worse. Juicing raw cannabis for me was the answer to my prayers.
Because a lot of people are treating this type of stuff with the medical marijuana oil. And I don't know much about it, but I want to hear what you have to say.
You mean their Crohn's disease and stuff?
Well, I don't. I just know they're treating gut disorders with this new approach.
That's one thing. Now, I will say that some of the products that I was able to create and some of the research that I did, definitely, there's no hands down, there's no dispute that it definitely helps those things. I just don't know how much, and I feel unqualified to try to put a number or any type of a rating on that. However, there's no disregarding it as a component of care. However, here's the thing I want to definitely mention, and I've mentioned it before. Juicing raw cannabis. In other words, non-heat activated cannabis, like just taking the whole plant
raw
and just sticking it right in a juicer
raw
at the right time
vegetation.
of its right. Juicing raw cannabis. I have never seen a better anti-inflammatory reaction. And mixing the raw cannabis with wheatgrass, with carrot juice, with beets, with, in other words, all the rest of in other words, cannabis as a vegetable.
With other vegetables.
Sure, yeah. Like I said, I never thought of it as a one-shot cure.
Yeah.
I was just starting to experiment with it as a component. In other words, wheatgrass has, and it tastes very similar to wheatgrass, as a matter of fact. You know, have you ever had spirulina or wheat?
Just in the tablets. I've never
drank
the drink.
Oh God, it's fantastic. Once you get, it's like drinking pure oxygen. I don't know how else to.
It was very, very green.
Yeah.
A lot of photosynthesis, a lot of chlorophyll.
Yes, there's a definite chlorophyll taste.
God's intended way. You know?
I'm gonna have to put this down for a minute because my hip is like starting to get too used to this. Okay. Can you help me set it on the floor?
Yeah.
This is all
fucking motherfucker.
Very interesting.
You got it?
Yeah.
You want me to get this out?
Yeah, pull it out, please. Oh God, it's a relief. I know you're tired.
Yeah.
Whew. Man, that hurts me watching you.
Do we have a little bit more coffee? Is there any?
Yeah.
Oh,
David, you got coffee too.
I don't want coffee.
Oh, you don't? Oh. Well, anyway, so to answer your question, I want to keep it on track, is that I really wish that I had the opportunity to explore more the anti-inflammatory properties. I was in correspondence with 2 doctors in San Diego, and I don't want to say their name because, again, I'm afraid that calling other people into this may hurt them. I mean, it's still such a witch hunt. You know what I mean? It's still such a witch hunt. But
you may be right.
I'm just saying that that the anti-inflammatory properties of juiced raw cannabis were absolutely amazing to me. I was astounded. And I will say also that I discovered it completely by mistake.
Right.
Because I had trash that I didn't really have anything else to do with, other than making the flour.
So tried some new things.
So I just tried juicing.
That's how they discovered penicillin. I believe it was just accidental.
They say that.
Or something. But anyway, I could be mistaken about that. But I just wanted, I heard you say, and I may be belaboring what you've already said, but I just wanted to know, is there anything that you can tell us that got better? Anything you can mention that you felt like that got better gut-wise or digestive-wise, or anything that you can perceive as that got, or rather that got worse when you did not have access to your medicine, your cannabis medicine?
Okay.
I realize
I'll start out.
It's probably a very great.
It's an excellent question.
Because your brain can be affected when
you're excellent to talk with on the camera and stuff, because you are a good field. You hit the ball really good. You know, it's like having a tennis match or lobbing, or being able to volley. So I'll give you a short answer. Here's the short answer. I didn't notice. My chronic pain was highly helped by smoking cannabis, but I don't enjoy, in other words, I enjoy the act of smoking it, and the mental effect is okay to me. But to have my whole life be built around the act of smoking and the head that's involved, it gets old quick. Yeah, because I'm me, dude. My brain is always.
Yeah, it can't be much of a life.
So
stoned all.
So I was looking for other ways to keep it in my system without feeling stoned. And one of the and I'm not against people smoking recreationally, but that's not what this is about. So getting on to your very extremely excellent question. is I did not notice the effects on my digestive system until I started to consume it in various forms.
Which you were at this point experimenting.
I gotta stand up. It's gonna be bad.
Do you need help?
No, I can actually get to my right foot, but I just have to switch my, I'm sorry to.
I mean, dude.
What were you gonna say?
My hips are messed.
So basically, when I first started, no, I'm good, man. I already switched.
Okay.
When I started smoking it, I didn't notice any effect at all on my digestive system. But as I shared with you and other people, you know, because I mean, I've become sort of like a deacon or something for an advocate of this stuff. I made my own flour, and I made about 7 other different types of food stuffs that basically for myself, you know what I mean? And it took a lot of experimentation, a lot of trial and error. But once I started ingesting it, I knew right away. The first thing I ever made was butter, but I don't eat regular butter. I dropped butter to lower my blood pressure. I think I stopped eating butter back in right around the time I started smoking cannabis again for chronic pain. So that's like 2010. It was right around the time that I just cut loose all of the meds. I mean, all of the meds. I don't even have a doctor at the time. So once I got out of the hospital down in Orange City and I decided to leave and move up to Georgia, I stopped eating butter. But once I made the butter, I tried it and I had such good results, other than the fact that it was freaking butter, and I didn't want to eat butter.
Yeah, because you already had a weight problem.
Right. I was looking for ways to do that. So together with the organic digestive cleanses and stuff. In other words, I always thought of it in components. I always made sure that it was comprehensive. It was never going to be a one-shot bullet thing. Yeah. But getting on to the eating part is the stuff that was heat activated. In other words, if you eat edibles, cookies and stuff, they're gonna get you stoned. But the effect was immediate. I knew that I was onto something. Mm-hmm. Because immediately, rather than making you hungry to eat all the time, it immediately helped me along with my other stuff, my organic cleanses and stuff, I immediately started dropping weight. So 2010, 2011, 2012, by 2012, I had dropped over 100 pounds. I used to be 450 pounds. Now I'm 300 pounds and with some change, probably 329, 330. And I've gained back in the past year since my arrest. I gained back a lot of weight. However, since my hospital stay, I've dropped probably 8 or 10 pounds. So anyway, you need some?
No.
I was going to say, according to your question, is like that. The heat activated stuff was one thing, but man, the day that I started juicing the raw cannabis was the hallelujah day.
Eureka! I'm on.
Because my pain level hadn't been lowered to like a 6. My pain level hadn't been lowered to a 6 in years, man. I lived with pain, with 6 and 7 pain for years. So when I would juice, I would juice a glass like this, right, of cannabis, of raw cannabis juice. And you know how much cannabis it takes to fill that glass right there?
If it's anything like carrots, more than you think.
No, because carrots hold way more water than cannabis does.
Oh, that's
it takes twice the amount.
Probably a table. I don't know. Take this whole table full.
I don't want to tell you how much because I might be implicating myself.
I have no idea.
But just think about it. Cannabis is not water retentive like carrots are. They say it takes 50 pounds of carrots to juice a little over a gallon of carrot juice. Can you imagine what it takes to fill a glass like this with raw cannabis juice?
A lot more than you think.
Right.
Because I know that when we juice,
it's not heat activated.
It's a freaking table full of carrots.
That's right.
And we each get like maybe that much a piece, maybe a little more.
Well, here's the thing, and I know, man, my brain is starting to slip, but I'm like trying to critically just have a chokehold on my mind right now, because this is so, I'm excited about this. I'm scared about tomorrow. I'm scared about my trial. I'm scared to go to jail. But people have to know about this. People have to stand up for this. I would drink a glass like this every other day. And I couldn't, I wish I could do more. I'm sorry, twice a week is well, put it this way, every 2 days on the average, I would have a glass like this to there filled with raw cannabis juice. And to the smart alecky mind, it's like, oh my God, look at what you're wasting to get one glass of this. But Dr. Gregg, you would not believe, after a week of drinking these, and you have this in your system, the amount of, I'm not even talking about, I'm telling you about the anti-inflammatory properties for my intramuscular and my skeletal problems, my osteoarthritis problems. Dude, my digestive system felt like it was like on, like it was being regenerated.
It may well have been.
Like it was undergoing a complete repair.
Like it almost sounds like what you needed was to be able to study that further, or even have people to help you study that further.
Somebody has to study it.
Figure out what it takes to maximize something like that, so that you can actually, 100% yourself. I know didn't say that right, but you were onto something, but you didn't quite have it right.
And I'm not the only one too. There's other people in the country that were discovering it independently of me.
And you see,
but I discovered this in like roughly 2010, 2011. And that's what led me to the decision, is rather than taking a chance. Now, I could not afford to move back to California. That's why I sent my son to live with my brother, is because I needed medicine. I did not want to endanger my son, endanger my parent status. You know what I mean? Like someone that I had never met, but her story is so endearing to me, Shona Banda, who's going through hell right now. And my prayers and my heart, my heart goes out to you, Shona. I wish there was some way that we could all band together and just, I don't have any hate for the justice system. I don't have any hate for law enforcement. People have to understand, it's 80 years of disinformation. It's 80 years of lies. I don't hold it against the beautiful, wonderful, great state of Georgia. I love this place. We have to together show the truth. We have to uncover the lies that Nixon started in 74. I got nothing. This isn't a political statement, but the study that he had done on cannabis, only to bury it as a state secret when it didn't return the results that he wanted. Can I pull this a little closer to me? And I guess what I'm asking for is Georgia, please consider me as one of your adopted children, and please don't send me to prison, because it's not going to serve justice. If that's what you feel you have to do, I'll take my medicine like a man. Okay, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to point my finger at you and hate you. I will not hate anybody for what is happening to me, because this is my responsibility. However, it doesn't have to be like this. We have a lot. This is the greatest state in the country for science and technology. We have some of the greatest cross-referencing of minds here. Emory, and I want to say a name. I want to throw in something about Emory.
Throw Emory stuff in too when I get my chance.
Go ahead, man. Let's talk about Emory. Talk to me about it.
I feel like
you know a lot more about Emory than I do.
Well, I just feel this way about things. I think that there are excellent doctors at Emory. They listen, they truly care, and because it's a learning facility, because it's a school, I think you're getting better care there. Because these, not only are they your doctor, but they've also got fellows that are with them that are learning from them. So when you're there with your doctor, you're having to have a good doctor, because he's also a teacher, and he's also raising a young doctor to be. So not only do you have him, but you've got two doctors in the room, really.
Absolutely.
I also feel very strongly that the reason, well, let's just say this. I don't know what the reason is that you couldn't get to the bottom of your digestive, and God only knows what. There's a lot of stuff in here.
4 or 5 doctors over the years I went to.
You can have
4 in Deltona
all
alone.
kind of metabolic disorders, mineralization problems like with bone, gut problems can cause trouble with your brain. You can have, you can have it where you're literally not you anymore because of something that's going on in your gut. I'll just give one example, just to something that I think a lot of people are starting to become aware of and familiar with these days, is because of the rise of hepatitis C. It's getting to be an epidemic. It's rampant. A lot of people run around with it that don't know. But the reason I bring it up is because when the liver isn't working right, liver is a big part of your digestive system. If you're not digesting fat properly, it could be a liver issue. And when people that have hepatitis C, or they get their livers get scarred or fibrotic and they're not working as good as they could, something goes wrong where ammonia that should be passed out your waste as a waste product, it ends up in your brain. And this is just one way that a disorder in here can affect you elsewhere, like a hip joint that is tremendously more arthritic than it should be.
You mean like way back, or just like in general?
Like in general.
Okay. So like in a relatively normal person?
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I bring up Hep C is because it is digestive in a big way. And it's also something that a lot of people can relate with right now. It's not that I think that's the only thing, or that I think that's what your problem is. It's just that it's something that I think a lot of people are just having to become aware of. Wow, everybody knows somebody that's got it.
That's so interesting.
And you think about 10 years ago.
It dawned on me to think of that, make that connection.
10 years ago.
I would love to get another like an internist or a GP. In other words, another opinion.
You just need to get to Emory.
What would Sanjay, Gupta?
You need specialists.
Think of this.
You need specialists. You need a good gastroenterologist. You need a good endocrinologist, for starters. And I venture a guess that if you get those two doctors, especially at Emory, as thorough as they are, looking into this, whatever's wrong, they're going to find it.
I think so.
And I think it's going to blow your mind when you start when it starts coming clear to you how this problem way in here somewhere could have made it where you weren't thinking clearly, because there was something's in your brain that's not supposed to, like chemical, like ammonia.
Yeah.
People that have
producing some type of a chemical.
Yeah, when you have ammonia in your brain, it's called encephalopathy.
Yes.
And that's nobody wants encephalopathy, and nobody with encephalopathy is thinking clearly.
Wow.
Not to mention, I'm going to say this too. That same problem, a liver problem. A liver has a lot to do with your vitamin D production. You go messing with that, you're messing with bone.
Wow.
Yeah. And let me put it another way. Let's just say your vitamin, and again, I'm not saying this is what I think is wrong with you, but it could be. I mean, you can get hepatitis C from sharing a toothbrush with somebody, but borrowing their razor one day, it's the same thing.
Oh wow. I didn't ever
think about it.
That's true though.
You may not have
skin, right?
I mean, good Lord, it's like it's a razor blade.
Wow.
And even if you don't bring blood, you're still on a microscopic level.
Right.
You're shaving shit off, but if you cut yourself and they had hepatitis C,
you don't even need to cut yourself. Your skin is an organ.
Absorbing.
It's an absorbent organ.
But anyhow, let's just say that your vitamin D levels, because of some sort of a liver problem, and I just keep saying this because people can relate with it.
Yeah.
Everybody knows somebody with liver hepatitis now. because it's rampant, and you don't have to be an IV drug user to get it. That's the other stigma attached to it. It's just not that way.
Right. You were telling me that one day. You and Terry were telling me that.
And if they got a nail on the wall that somebody just nicked themselves on, and they draw their blood, and then you come by 15 minutes later and the same thing happens to you, guess what? If it got in your bloodstream, you got the virus. Right. And it's that simple. Now
is Hep C the type of disease that you cannot have any symptoms? It's asymptomatic, but you can carry it dormant?
Yes.
So basically, you could carry Hep C in your body for years and not know it.
You can have Hep C to the point where you have cirrhosis and still maybe not know, and still have your blood work come back normal. Now, a lot of times,
how could you get normal blood work coming back?
You get normal liver function. If you get a Hep C test, it's going to come back positive.
Okay, I get it.
And if you've got Hep C and you get a viral load test, that's going to come back with a number telling you how many of those viruses are in there per unit volume. But what I wanted to say is that this is how it just, that people don't realize that, let's just say, and how unpredictable that something like that can be. You can have that kind of a problem with your liver, and your vitamin D levels could be really, really low this for a while.
You mean like super abnormally low?
Yes, abnormally low to the point where you start having bone density issues.
Wow.
And let's just say that, and see the way it waxes and wanes. It's not just a straight, it's not just a straight line where it's always the same all the time. It can go down, and because you're a human, your body's always trying to heal itself.
Correct.
So it waxes and wanes.
Wow, yeah.
But over time, this waxing and waning, you still are going down.
Right, I understand.
And what happens is, by the
eventually there's some type of renal failure.
Well, what I'm going to say is eventually what you can have is a period. Let's just say, for instance, you have a period where your vitamin D is really low, and it's been low for a while, and your bone density's down. And let's say you injure your hip or something, all right, because of that, and you don't injure anything else. And so you got this one joint that's tremendously arthritic, more so than the others, because a lot of times with osteoarthritis, it's kind of, it can be just the one joint, but a lot of times if you're going to get OA, it's going to kind of be more you're going to have other joints that are doing the same thing. Not always. And again, I'm not a medical doctor, so I mean.
No, but a doctor's a doctor. You're a doctor. You've done a lot of studying, and I respect everything you have to say.
So let's just say
you've never seemed to me to be the arrogant type.
I try not. But let's just say, for instance, your bone density is low or lower. While you're doing this waxing and waning and decline thing, your bone density goes down. You injure your hip on account of it, but you don't realize it. That's the reason. And then let's say because of the waxing and waning nature, then your vitamin D levels can kind of go back up again. So what the body's going to do is it's going to try to lay down a bunch of bone where your problem is, and
sort of like just on the job repair.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's been referred to as the dump truck theory. There's a problem, just send a bunch of trucks and dump the stuff down to fill. Yeah.
By the way, if you guys don't know, Dr. Gregg is a DC, but again, this is not a medical show or anything. We're not sitting here giving medical advice. We're basically just a bunch of people that's sitting around discussing medical issues. You know what I mean? Our own issues, and hoping that there are people out there that are suffering, that are going to connect or maybe get a good idea or want to be, encouraged or something by hearing us discuss this stuff. And also, this is the night before my trial officially starts. I'm being demanded to show up. Sorry to interrupt you, bro.
That's okay.
But it's sort of like my last statement. Like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. They might just slam the cage door on me and take me away tomorrow, and I might be gone for a while. And that's just the way it's going to be. Or maybe somehow or another we're going to reach people, and people are just going to, they're going to realize that I'm not the guy they think I am, you know, and maybe they'll give us a chance to prove it. I mean, who knows? I want to just ask you guys for your prayers and ask you for your vocal support and your moral support, and just to understand that you're not wasting your prayers and your good thoughts on us. I mean, we're good people, and I never, ever, ever sought to profit or anything. I just wanted to try to save my own life. I saw I saw a freight train coming, and all I wanted to do was try to move out of the way. And again, this started out as a compliment to Dr. Gregg. You know, he's never been to try to be anything other than a friend. So it's just friends sitting around. We have some great minds that come in and out of this house. I feel fortunate and extremely blessed, extremely, what was the word we were using earlier when I was saying that about the musicians I have? I'm, you know,
I don't know.
It's just,
but it's uncanny. It is a blessing.
It's absolute blessings.
You've had some amazing talent that come to you. They seem to gravitate around you.
We just have a great, you know, I'm honored is what I think the word is. I'm honored that so many people that with so much talent and so much brilliance for some reason want to hang around with me, of all people. You know, I might make them laugh once in a while, but I don't know exactly what it is that I have to offer, but who cares? If I have it, I'm going to give it in shovelfuls. Oh man, I can't move like that. I'm going to try to give it in shovelfuls and make sure that people
bringing us together in a big way.
Music has a lot to do with it, but man, it goes so much farther beyond music. I mean,
yeah, because we're friends. We didn't just get together to play.
Bunch of people.
We haven't played a note tonight. We've been hanging out all night.
I haven't played a note in months over a month because of my surgery. Like, we got together on New Year's and we had a great time, but I laid here in my hospital bed all day and all night.
Ronan, man, he was in agony.
But, yeah.
Good
Half
Lord.
the time, I don't remember.
You were out of it, man. And I can't imagine how someone could think that you could take a stand in that condition and testify or
in any way, out tomorrow,
any way represent yourself, lawyer or no lawyer.
It's
a violation, in my opinion. It's a I think, and I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I would not be surprised if it violates the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Well, I'm hoping that my attorney, Dr. David West and Associates. David West is, you know, one of the top 100 trial lawyers in the country, and I would expect a lot out of him. And I'm hoping that, you know, he does a great job and vigorously, you know, defending me, or at least giving me the chance to defend myself. I mean, I think I deserve that. But I can tell you people this, is that I'm not going to have a chance in hell if you don't stand up now and speak out for what you want. Whether you're just somebody who thinks it's okay for recreational use, which I have nothing against it. I never had a big use for it. Even back when I played golf or whatever, the guys would bring beer and a thing of vodka or whatever out on the course. Yeah. I'm not one of those guys. I'm there to play golf. If I want to drink, I'll go to the bar.
Yeah.
Or if I want to drink, I'll go home.
Well, you don't drink much.
I'm not much of a drinker. I never really have been. I mean, I've had my nights where I go out and dancing or whatever. I'll 20 rum and coast, but that's not the point. The point is I'm there to play golf. You guys never seen me show up to play at a gig and get drunk.
No,
that's not me. It's just not me. So it's the same. So all I'm trying to draw the comparison is, and I know my mind is kind of slipping at this point, so if I hope I'm not seeming too stupid, but what I'm saying is that my thing is not, I'm not a big recreational pot guy, but I just don't judge it wrong either. If you are stupid enough to smoke and get really stoned and get behind the wheel and have an accident, I think that's approaching a drunken driving thing. But I don't think that cannabis inhibits, or I should say impedes you like alcohol does. Anyway, none of that even matters. What I'm trying to say is that this issue has never been more in the media. It's in the media now. We're seeing 10 or 15 different articles a day, along with the propaganda pieces, of course. You know, they're piling the propaganda pieces on, you know, vying and basically, you know, proxying for control. I call it, what do they call it when they're, anyway. So if you people want this to happen, you're going to have to stand up now. Now is the time. It's not so much to get me off of these charges. It's because there are millions. We go back to the same thing, Doc. It's like there's people suffering. Why? Needlessly. It's a needless amount of suffering. They don't deserve to suffer if such a simple thing can get them off. But back to what you were saying, basically about the bone density issues, and you know, you said the last thing you said was regarding the dump truck, where the dump truck stops and dumps off all this vitamin D.
Well, it's just one example. There's so many ways, you know, and I can't even name them all, but there are many, many ways that all kinds of systems in your body can be adversely affected by problems with your digestive system, your endocrine system, your immune system. You know, they're talking about a lot of these I think it's Crohn's or these irritable bowel syndromes and things where they're
that's what I
they're
had.
starting to treat.
I suspected that I had a lot of symptoms. Like when I went down the list of Crohn's disease, I'm like, check, 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 and then pretty soon I'm like, wait a minute.
It could be an autoimmune disorder.
That scares me to death.
It could be all kinds of things.
There are few subjects that I'm more stupid at. You know what I mean? Now we're getting to an area that literally I'm just absolutely clueless.
And that may be a factor, a part of the reason why you didn't get better is you just didn't know what to do. And the doctors that you were going to may not have been the right doctors for you. And that's why I highly encourage you to get to the specialist at Emory. We want to get you to, I would say, I would want to see you go to a good Emory gastroenterologist, a good Emory endocrinologist, and have your immune, be checked for all the autoimmune disorders that could be possibly, you see right now, it's just, what could it be? What could it be? What could it be? We don't know anything because we don't have any of the data. We don't have the tests, and we haven't had the right doctors looking at, you know, I'm not the doctor for you.
Right.
But I know this. I'm sitting here with you, and I've known you for almost a year. You haven't been with the right doctor, and that I'm absolutely convinced of. There's no question about that. And so what I think was happening, you know, you've got the glass here where you had it filled up with your raw cannabis juice, which helped you with some of the symptoms of your problem. And maybe if you had the time
just
to perfect that.
Well, see, dude, this is what I thought. First of all, I thought it would be interesting to get rid of the garbage. In other words, the leaves and the stems. And I mean, I juiced whatever. Then I started juicing flowers. But I just thought it seemed like a good idea. You know what I mean? Because I was doing all the other stuff like beets, carrots. I mean, I was just searching for different combos. So I thought, well, this can't hurt. I mean, I'm throwing it in the garbage.
Yeah.
So, and I'm making, you know, some of it I'm making, I started making my flour. My flour is legendary, man. I can make, I made like 3 or 4 different types of flour. Legendary to me. It's not like I had it on the internet going, hey, you know, Scotty's flour.
My flour.
Yeah. But I bet you if I ever had the opportunity, I could, because I really made some excellent foods with it. But my point is that the glass of stuff that the one glass of cannabis, pure cannabis, with like, once I started getting the idea, once I discovered it, I had a glass, I would have a glass of cannabis, raw cannabis juice. But of course I told you how much it takes to fill up 1 glass. So I would have beets, carrots, you know, kale, you know, just all kinds of different greens in there. So I would juice all these different things. And then I would have it, you know, there would be at least this much cannabis juice in there. This much cannabis juice displaced a whole half a bottle of freaking ibuprofen.
Yeah.
Are you getting it now?
Oh, yeah.
I started realizing, because remember when I first met you, I was like having these from when I was eating 5 or 6 of those ibuprofen in the morning. When I had, this is not long after my arrest, I had nothing. I had no medication of any type of pain medication. That's why I was housebound all the time. You guys would come over, I'd be sitting right back there.
I remember I was coming, you were selling equipment, and I was coming up, I had just met you, and I was coming over to see what you had for sale because, you know, I love a good deal.
Yeah,
and because of you, I started my little thing with drums, buying those drums from you and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I immediately noticed when I came over to haggle with you, you know, trying to see how cheap I could get a drum, how much pain you were in and how you didn't have any, you know, you were having to treat it with what all you were doing. And I'll take I'll finish up, you know, we're talking about treating symptoms. You know, what you had in your glass, your cannabis juice, was helping you with your symptoms. What you need is you need something that can treat the cause of your problem. Now the question is, could you have come up with that, or could a cannabis product do that, or not? And it doesn't really matter. All that matters is we need to get you to the right doctors. Perhaps one day when it's allowed to figure this stuff out, we might be able to figure out a way to get the right, you know, I don't know about all this kind of stuff, but I know that enough people are getting better from the oils that they make.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's no doubt about it.
And that little girl that had,
you cannot call that stuff.
That could sit up, and her mother was just a, you know, I don't even remember the story in its entirety.
What do they call it? A difference between clinical and like a story? They call it, you know, cure or something. Cure. Oh, anyway, it doesn't matter.
I was all down the fix the attack the cause. You know.
No, yeah, I like that whole issue. But do you understand that while I was treating the symptoms of this, I may have found a partial cure for this?
And that's where I'm going with this, because you were either
I stumbled upon it.
You either found a way to successfully treat the symptoms without all the harmful side effects of prescription medications, which are bad for your gut. I mean, let's face it. I mean, and when I say gut, I'm just not talking tummy.
Right.
You know, there's a liver in there, there's kidneys in there, there's a pancreas in there, there's all kind of stuff in there.
See, I disagree with most people. I think that the pharmaceutical companies have a place in medicine. I can't, I just don't overall say, oh, fucking evil pharmaceutical companies, you know.
No.
Everything has its place, and just like this, it has its place. There's no such thing as a magic bullet. So absolutely right. I agree with you 100%. But the massive doses of freaking ibuprofen and naproxen sodium, and what I found was in a glass of juice, I could practically replace, I could lower by 70% my intake of ibuprofen and naproxen sodium and aspirin. And
see, it's especially not good for you when you're already in some way critically compromised already.
Oh yeah,
and we don't even know what. So
we don't know why.
We can't go
we don't know why or
pumping
what.
a bunch of junk in there to make it worse. You know, and we need to find out why. And you know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, I don't use cannabis, you know, but if cannabis helps you or if it cures you, then I guess you're going to have to go somewhere where it's legal to do it. But I think you should get to Emory and let those guys, you've probably got something that's not, maybe possibly not that hard to fix, but if you don't fix it, it can kill you, or it can rob you of your life, like this has done with you.
Mm-hmm. Should I answer the phone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Zay. How's it going, man? Hey, how are you? Oh, it's no problem, man. Gregg is sitting here, and I think Gino's on his way over to hang out, and I think he's going to come to the courthouse with me in the morning, and sort of as a way of supporting, you know, to just come with me in the morning and try to just a show of support. But Gregg and I were just sitting here discussing some of the issues, you know, some medical issues, and just sort of brainstorming about how some of this stuff affects us. And, you know, we're just hanging out, man. What are you up to? Nice. Nice. Yeah, man. Research is so important, dude. Well, I mean, I guess it's kind of getting late. You know, for you to, if you wanted to come out, you're welcome to come and hang out with us. I think, I'm not sure what time Gregg's going to head to the house, but like I said, if you let me know if you wanted to come by or something, you're welcome to come over and hang out. But if you got other things to do, you know, no big deal, bro. I'm glad you called me back, though. I'm sorry I missed your call earlier. Man, I'm still hurting like hell, man. I don't know what the heck's wrong with my system, but I do feel the progress. I just wish I had a little longer to heal before they start putting me through this. Yeah, man. It's just I'm not looking forward to this trip to the courthouse tomorrow. And of course, I'm scared. You know, I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say I wasn't concerned with what's happening. I mean, they could start the trial tomorrow and the trial could finish tomorrow and they could just take me away and that's it. So, you know, I mean, if I don't come home tomorrow and I'm in for a while, you know, hopefully I'll make it through all this and I'll see you soon, man. I mean, I love you a whole lot, bro. And man, I just, you know, you guys, all you guys that have come to be such good friends of mine and supported me through this time, you know, I mean, I'll never forget it, dude. I swear. You just don't know the friend you have in me just because, you know, I don't need to say anymore. I ain't going to get all mushy on you, but, I mean, I don't care wherever you are, bro. I'll be there if you need me. Yeah, that's what it's about is hearts. So, I don't know. We're just sitting here, man, drinking a little Bustelo and chilling out, man. If you feel like getting out of the house, just hit us up and I'll come and get you. You can stay late, whatever, spend the night. I'm going to be out of here in the morning and heading to the courthouse. Huh?
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I'm not going.
Dave will come get it.
Oh, well, yeah, whatever. You know, I can't leave the house, but, you know, yeah, he's like, I'm not going, you know, I'm not going anywhere. Dave will come and get it.
Dude, you're a DUI waiting to happen on all that medication.
Yeah, he's going to chill at the crib. He's got some editing to do and some research and stuff.
Well, tell him, hey.
Yeah, here, say hello, bro.
Okay. Hey, man.
In the meantime, I'm sorry you guys have to watch this is just day to day.
We're just hanging out over here.
On the phone over here is Mr. Zay Williams, bass player extraordinaire, you know, bass player for Arrested Development, the band. We love those guys. So Speech, if you ever see this, I know we've never met, we're not friends or anything, but I love the band and thank you for loaning us your phenomenal bass player. Zay's a phenomenal friend. And I mean, I'm so honored the people that find me, my friendship. And I want to somehow, I don't want there to be one more lonely person in the world. I don't want there to be one more person that doesn't have hope. And if you're suffering from disease or if you're suffering from an injury or like, you know, you're one of the pain management people, you know what I mean, that are just, you feel alone and helpless, I want you to contact us. I don't care where you are, what corner, what hole in the wall.
I can say it a million times, we all feel the same way.
I want you people to know that you are not alone. I am not going to allow you to die
I can't imagine
alone. I'm not going to allow you to die
you can't understand how
hopeless.
Could
one way or another, I'm going to dedicate my life
to be taking more
to
time
reach you people.
to take
So if
the
you
stand.
are one of those persons and you somehow see our videos, I want you to reach out to us. The name of the organization is Chronic Pain.
You know, it's kind of
Common Sense Justice
he's
for
not
Medical
able to,
Cannabis. Okay?
well, you know what I'm saying.
Chronic Pain, Common Sense Justice for Medical Cannabis. And we have a petition and a legal fund for my personal legal problems, but those are my problems. I don't expect all of you people to solve them for us, but the thing is that we have to band together. We have to get together.
We, hope so.
We have to try
the picture I'm getting
and respectfully reach out to the politicians, respectfully reach out to authority.
Like he might
nothing,
dropping the ball. He might be.
Nothing is going to be accomplished by disrespect and by antagonistic methods. In other words, you're not going to get the politicians and the judges and the legal system and law enforcement. You're not going to gain their respect by screaming at them and by directing your anger and frustration at them personally. Our system needs to be, the system of politics, the system of law needs to be addressed, and the system of legal, the way the legal system is now, it just needs to be addressed. And if we get together, we can sit down and rationally work out solutions. Yeah, and that's what I'm asking you for. I'm asking you not to disrespect
on a side note,
the political system. Don't disrespect law enforcement. They're out there to do a job. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I'm going on and on and on now, and I don't mean to bore you guys.
Yeah, but she's trying.
I really feel like this Google Hangouts and stuff, this can be a great way to reach each other.
Reassess what she
And so just remember what I said. Please go online, go to Facebook and join the Chronic Pain, Common Sense Justice for Medical Cannabis. And it's not just about cannabis, it's about general health, it's about disease and suffering and chronic pain. I'm an advocate for people who are in chronic pain and who are suffering. I want to reach all of you. I went through the better part, more than 15 years of terrible chronic pain. I've got a lot of experience in this area, and I raised my son. I took care of my grandparents till the day they died, and I want you people to know that there are people out here who care about you. And I think we have a great gimmick to reach you, because we have a phenomenal circle of musicians here, very well-known musicians that are going to be coming through here. And if I can stay out of prison,
you will not waste your time, bro.
I'm going to make sure that that you guys are entertained, and that we're going to entertain you with some fantastic music. We're going to educate you with fantastic information and research. And I just think it's an interesting way to approach subjects, that everybody cares about. But it's going to take me a while to recover from this surgery. And then I've got some other medical issues to address. But I want you people to understand, if you know somebody who's in chronic pain, if you know somebody who's hurting, who's suffering from depression, people that feel alone, people that are helpless, that's who I'm looking to help, okay? So please remember this, and I want to thank everybody around here who participates. I want to thank Dr. Gregg for showing up today and hanging out, and the girl Marilyn, and my brother David, and my cousin Veronica, and everybody who makes all of this possible. If I didn't have friends like you, I just don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do without friends like you. So I'm going to stop this stream for the day. And maybe we'll make another one. Hopefully I'll make it home from the courthouse tomorrow. They may just lead me away tomorrow and take me to prison. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. But all I want you guys to know is that I have no animosity towards anybody in the world. If this is the last day I ever spent on earth, I consider myself a lucky, lucky man. The luckiest man to ever walk the earth. And I have nothing in my heart but love to give the rest of the world. All my frustration and anger is primarily because I wasn't able to do more for more people. So like I said, I'm going to say it one more time. If you are one of those people who are in chronic pain or suffering from a disease or some type of debilitating condition where, you know, you're feeling hopeless or feeling like you just can't deal with it, reach out to us. We understand. I understand where you're coming from. I know what it's like to feel that loneliness. I know what it's like to feel that hopelessness. And one way or another, if I have the opportunity, I'm going to go out there and help change lives. I'm going to go out there and help to reach people like you. I want you to reach out to me and I will reach back out to you. But whatever you do, don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. And we'll see if we can raise money through, you know, like I said, we're going to hook you with our music. You're going to love some of the music that we play. We've got great musicians. We've got brilliant people, doctors, researchers, scientists. I mean, you know, we have some phenomenally talented people that rally around our group. And that's why I founded the group. That's why I founded the Harddonuts in the first place. And it just turned out to be like a home for misfits. So I'm going to let you guys go. I'm talking your ear off. I'm under heavy, heavy medication right now. Half of this stuff, I don't even know what I'm saying. But I love you. Don't give up hope. That's all I'm trying to say is please don't give up. You can do it. Sitting here talking for 5 minutes. All right. So, yeah. Thanks, Gregg, too. Hey, say bye, Gregg.
Bye.
He's amazing. This dude is awesome. You're going to see him again. I thought we did great hitting the ball back and forth between us. Yeah.